the rivers of Babylon. Yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying. Oh, bye.
Hallelujah. Blessed be the Most High King, Yehovah. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for life, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You may be seated. How y'all feel? Hallelujah. Giving glory to the Most High God once again. And as we do every year, we go over the portion of Esther. Now, this is a very interesting book because, like, in it of itself, like I say every year, this is the only book in the Tanakh where you don't find the name of the Most High God mentioned. There's no mention of the Creator's name in the book of Esther, but from what we see and what we read, we see that the Creator is in the midst of the whole history that we go over, and it's not a non-spiritual book. It's a book actually of history, but it's also a book that could be verified with outside history, that being the Medo-Persian history, as we will see that some of the characters that are going to be mentioned here are part of history as we see them in the past, or ancient history, as we will say. We're talking about a period of time in 500s to 400s BCE, in that period of time. And if we start, first we will have to start with, this is not on, let me turn this on. Once this is on. Oh, it's on the side. So we got a slideshow. We're going to go over some of this history first before we actually get started with the... So if we go to the first slide, you got it, right?
Okay.
The first slide speaks about, it says 550 BCE, right? So we have to start out with how we get to Ahasuerus and who is Ahasuerus, right? Ahasuerus in history is known as Xerxes the First. Xerxes the First was about the fourth king of the, how you say that? The
Achaemenid
Empire. You know, we gotta go through this every year. But that was the empire. So if you could start reading from the top, my brother, so that we could get a little bit of past history before we get to where we're at right now.
The book of Esther,
right?
Titled "Saving the Southern Kingdom of Yehuda from Genocide" by Uzziel Lewi.
By Uzziel Lewi.
March 4, 2023.
Yes, that's today's date.
550 BCE. Cyrus rules around 550 BCE. Cyrus II, later known as Cyrus the Great, comes to power as king of Ashan in western Persis. Under his control of Persis is united. Under his control, all of Persis is united. He starts the Achaemenid dynasty.
So what that means is a lot of times when you had these little states and provinces, there will be, like in ancient times, there'll be a lot of struggle to control. Like you see today in the East, you will see war chiefs or warlords, right? I'm a war chief over here. I'm a warlord over here. I kind of do things differently. But what Cyrus did is kind of brought everything together. The Medians were in power. He took over them, which is north of where Persia was at, which is Lydia. So we're talking about the Medo-Persian Empire now. That's what is known in history, the Medo-Persian Empire. Now, Persians are from Shem. They come from the line of, I believe, Shem's son, which is Elam. These are the Persians. These were Semitic people, which were people of color. So as we go on, I'm going to show you some relics and some things that the Persians left behind to let you see that they were people of color. You also had the Medians. The Medians were from Japhet. They were out of the line of Japhet. They was from Madai, which was a grandson of Japhet, I believe. So, you know, you got to know the history and what's going on in the past history and what's going on during this time so that when we get to Esther, we will be fully abreast of what's going on in the surrounding areas and what's going on in the history. Go to the next line.
In 550 BCE, Cyrus is attacked. King Astyages of Media attacked Cyrus. During the fight, some of Astyages' men turn on their leader and Cyrus becomes the victor. He goes on to defeat the Medes and conquers Lydia.
He conquers Lydia, like I just said. So he had to put down, because it was the Medians first and then it was the Persians. But then the Persians joined forces with the Median and they became the Medo-Persian Empire. Because as we go on, you will see that the hierarchy of the Persians and the Medians made up like the leaders of the army, the leaders of certain things that they would do that had to do with royalty. It was just Persians and Median royalty that were able to control certain aspects of the kingdom and the realm. Let us go.
In 539 BCE, Cyrus captures Babylon. Cyrus continued his conquest, and soon even Babylon was under his control.
So Babylon, so today, Persia is what we know as Iran, where the Ayatollah Khomeini and you got all those guys, so that's Iran. Babylon is Iraq. So if you know the history of Iran and Iraq, when Saddam Hussein was in power, there was always war.
Right.
Saddam used to have them kind of like underfoot. But this is a struggle that's been going on for centuries, for millennia. This has been going on back and forth, right? And then when you add Islam to it, it adds another layer, a few more layers to it. So this is a struggle that's been going on for centuries, for millennia, that Iran and Iraq been at constant conflict with each other. So what we know about Cyrus is that in Isaiah 45, the Most High God calls Cyrus as what?
Anointed.
Is anointed. That Cyrus was supposed to deliver the children of Israel from under the captivity of Babylon. Because we was in exile in Babylon for 70 years, and Cyrus will come and deliver the children of Israel. That's the anointed one that the Most High God used to deliver the children of Israel from the captivity of Babylon. So Cyrus is knocking at the door. He's up in Iraq like this. I'm here. I'm at your door. I'm at your gates. Open the gates. Nowhere you can run. Nowhere you can hide. I'm here. So read on.
In 536 BCE, the prophecy about Cyrus. 200 years before Babylon is conquered, the prophet Isaiah has written of a great ruler named Cyrus, who allows the children of Yisrael to rebuild their temple.
Right, we went over that in Ezra, Nehemiah. We spoke about it in Ezra and Nehemiah, the rebuilding of the temple. Right, let us go.
When the scroll is read to Cyrus, he commands that the captive Israelites of Babylon be allowed to return to rebuild their holy city.
This is in history books. When he seen the prophecy that was left, this is why we say that our God is real, because history could verify what we're saying.
Right.
So once he read it, he said, send those people. He was in Babylon in 539 BCE. By 3 years later, he said, send them people back so that they could rebuild. But all the people didn't go back. It was just certain people went back. Some people stayed because they liked the lifestyle. So they stayed in Babylon. Some went to Persia. And this is the disbursement of the children of Israel that still remains out there, because today you still have quote unquote Persian Jews, what they call Persian Jews. A lot of them were converts, but a lot of them were some people that remained from the tribe of Benjamin, from the tribe of Judah, and even some Levites that remained there. And, well, as we go on, we'll see. We go to the next slide. What's going on there? Oh, it already went to the next slide? Which one was the Cyrus slide?
Yeah, that's it.
All right,
That's the next one. Cyrus the Great,
Cyrus the Great.
the first king of the Achaemenid Empire.
Uh-huh.
That's just a picture.
Yeah, that's a bit. So Cyrus the Great, this is 530 BCE, and a detail of a modern copy from a 6th century BCE, bas relief at.
Pasar Gede inscribed, I am Cyrus the king in Achaemenian.
So he's the beginning of that actual dynasty, Cyrus the Great. He's the one that starts that dynasty, and it goes on for a few centuries or whatever, and then as time goes along, the Greeks come along, and things start to happen. But this is Cyrus the Great, the first of this actual empire. The next one is
533 BCE. Cyrus conquers more. Cyrus continues to take over more lands. In 533 BCE, he invades India.
He goes all the way to India. So now we talking Iraq, Iran, India's right next to it. He goes all the way into India. Now, the Medo-Persian Empire was vast. They conquered a lot. So it says here, Cyrus continues to take over lands in 533 BCE. He invades India. He later dies in battle at 529 BCE. So he dies. Let's go, next
In
one.
529 BCE, the family line goes on. After the death of his father, Cambyses II rules.
Right, so Cambyses is the son of Cyrus.
He conquers both Egypt and Cyprus, extending the empire even more. He dies in 522 BCE.
He dies at 522 BCE. And there was a little confusion there with Cambyses because he was the son of Cyrus, but when he went to Egypt, a guy by the name of Darius took his opportunity. He's not from the line. He says that he's from that line, that Achaemenid line, but he's really not. But he played like he was a cousin or he was from the line. But when Cambyses left to go to Egypt, he took that time to go to war in Egypt. This guy manipulated the kingdom and was able to take over as the king and the ruler. And Cambyses died. Cambyses II got killed. Cambyses got killed. Let us go.
In 521 BCE, Darius I reigns. Darius claims the throne, but Bardia, presumably Cambyses' brother, claims it too. Bardia is eventually defeated, and Darius becomes king of Persia.
So Bardia is really the one who's supposed to take over because he is one of the sons. He's the son of he's Cambyses' brother, which is Darius' son.
Right.
But Cyrus' son, but Darius had bigger aspirations, and he defeated him and got him out of that position of being the next emperor or the next ruler. Let us go.
In 521 BCE, Darius' contributions. Darius divides the empire into provinces called satrapies, each governed by a satrap. He links the empire by roads and has a common currency throughout. He also allows the southern kingdom of Yehuda to continue rebuilding their temple after disputes from neighboring areas are brought to his attention.
So when Cyrus commanded us to go back, people started coming back and complaining about why they were allowing the children of Israel to rebuild. So the rebuild of the temple stopped for about 15 years. When Darius got back into power, he told the children of Israel, go back and finish rebuilding because I said so. So it doesn't matter what anybody in the surrounding cities say, I say to finish rebuilding. And about 518 or 516 BCE, the second temple was rebuilt. So you see, as you can see, everything kind of coincides with the time and the time frame that we're talking about. So Darius is actually, even though he's not from that bloodline, he actually contributes to the Medo-Persian Empire much more than anybody else. Cyrus was like a warring king. Cyrus just wants to conquer. Cyrus is like how we see Alexander. They just really want to conquer. You know, they don't care who you worship or whatever. His aspirations was to conquer the world. That's why they inscribe under their pictures and things of this sort, like King of Kings. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the king of all kings. That means I went into your house, beat you up. And now you under me. I'm the King of Kings. And you can't do anything about it. This is ego. This is all ego and the way man move, because if you keep beating up, it's like a heavyweight champ. If you keep not like Mike Tyson, when he was knocking everybody out, how he was talking. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest since Joe Frazier, since Muhammad Ali. Can nobody beat me? I can't be defeated. That's how he used to talk. So just think about centuries ago when them guys was going to your doorstep, overtaking you, taking your women, taking your children. That's how they felt. I'm the greatest. I'm the King of Kings. You can't dominate me. I'm dominating you. So this is what's going on at that time. Let's go. What's the next one? A picture, right?
The picture. You go to 500.
All right. So this right here is a picture of Cambyses above, the second. They don't really have any relics of him because he didn't have an opportunity really to get monuments made of him because he only ruled for a short period of time. So this is like, little relics, I guess, that they must have, paintings or whatever they must have made of him. After winning the Battle of Pelusium on 525 BC, capturing
Psamtik III of Egypt and conquering Egypt.
Right, he conquered Egypt.
And to the right is relief of Darius I from Persepolis from 522 to 486.
So Persepolis is one of the royal cities of that. At that time they had Shushan or Susa, and they had Ecbatana, and there were other royal cities, Perses. These were all royal cities that they had, where they had estates where the kings or the emperors would go to. So this is a relic that is in Persepolis, 522 through 486 BCE. That was his rule. Next one is what?
500 BCE. At around 500 BCE, the Persian Empire consisted of 8,500,000 kilometers and had a population estimated at about 50 million.
50 million people in the Persian Empire. Let's go.
499 BCE, Lydia rebels.
Lydia rebels.
Lydia joins Persia after being conquered by Cyrus in 546 BCE. But they rebel in 499 BCE. Darius puts down the rebellion.
So the Medians, we want to be sovereign. We don't want to run around with y'all and call this a Media Persian Empire. We want our own thing. Darius said we won't be having any of that. Y'all too close to us, and y'all going to be under us. And this is what it's going to be. So he puts down the rebellion. Let us go.
In 490 BCE, the Persian Wars. The Greeks and Persians battled for territory for several years. Sometimes the Persians win, sometimes the Greeks win. In 485 BCE, Darius dies.
These were warring kings, so Darius dies. It's not clear how he dies, but he dies, right? At 485 BCE. So now we're getting to where we get into the period of the history of Esther. We're going to get to that king now. Let's go.
485 BCE, Xerxes the first rules. Xerxes the first comes to power after the death of Darius. He continues the war with Greece. The Persians burn Athens in 480, but are defeated at Salamis the following year when the fleet sinks. Xerxes is assassinated in 465.
Xerxes is assassinated in 465, but the history you're going to read is about Xerxes. So we're talking about 480 to about 470 something, from 483 to about 480, 479. 465, he gets murdered. He gets assassinated, actually. So this is the history now that we're going to get to. Go to the next slide.
It's the Darius Palace in Shushan?
Yeah, Darius Palace in Shushan. So this is where this history is going to mostly take place in. These are the really, and this is what I say, our history is verifiable. Of course, it's not standing anymore. Parts of it is standing, but most of it is broken down. This is actually the what's left of that great palace, and you see an actual model of it was remade, as you see it there. And these are some of the things that were inside there. As you can see, even their fictional things that they would put up on the wall, right? You see the man with the wings and the body of an animal, right? Obviously, you could see that they had colors.
That's right.
They understood the difference between colors. And I'm going to use what my brother Chief Abdiel used before. They knew the difference with white, black, brown, blue. Mm-hmm. So you could see clearly that the body, the animal part of the body is white, right? What color is the face?
Huh. That's right.
They didn't depict themselves as pale people, as you see the people that dwell in those lands now. A lot of that came from invasions from the north and bleaching out the people. But in Persia today, you still have the presence of people of color. Mm-hmm. People always say, why do we always go into the color thing? Because it's important to go into the color thing, because Western society has whitewashed history and has made everyone of any stature or any greatness look pale. Right. So, like I said, this is not racist. This is just stating out the facts, and little nuggets like this are left so that people will understand and know that the ancient world was not a pale world. The people who dominated in the ancient world were not people that were pale. That didn't begin to happen until the Greeks started coming into power. And they were still an olive complexion people. Mm-hmm. They weren't completely pale. So when we make presentations like this, it's for people to know that we just want to show you the true history of what happened in the world, and that people, when they want to whitewash things, you actually have pictures and photos that you could show to show people other than. Now, what does the inscription say at the bottom?
Susa was an ancient city of the Elamite, Persia and Parthian.
The Elamites were Shemitic people, like the children of Israel. Let's go.
Persian and Parthian empires of Iran, located about 150 miles east of the Tigris River in Kazakhstan, province of Iran. A city on the Karkay River, 150 miles north of the head of the Persian Gulf. One of three capitals of the Persian Empire maintained by Darius the Great.
Darius the Great.
The city, the royal winter residence, as Ecbatana was the summer one, was the scene of biblical events.
Yeah, so the winter residence was Shushan, which is when it's like, when you have a winter residence, let's say, all right, New York City, we live here, like we here is in it's winter time. So your winter residence is going to be South Florida. But why is your winter residence going to be South Florida? Because it's warm. So these kings had the same idea. Ecbatana was north, Susa was south. So north it was colder, south it was warmer. So whenever winter came, they went south to be in their winter estate. And this is where most of this history takes place, in Shushan or Susa. Shushan is the way that we pronounce it as Hebrews. Susa is the way that the Medians, that the Persians pronounced it. All right, so right here is the map of the actual kingdom, as you can see. It's a lot of little provinces and stuff. Let me get this microphone. People online can hear. So we see a lot of little, but they didn't conquer Russia or China, but they came I got another map that will show it a little bit clearer. So let's go to the book of Esther, chapter 1.
We're in the book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So was that history clear? Did y'all understand it? All right. I hope I didn't lose anyone. Let's go.
Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus who reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 120 provinces.
127 provinces. So now he ruled from India all the way to Ethiopia. So I gave you the measurements. I gave you all of those things, right? India to Ethiopia, it's a very long distance. Even if you look at the map right there and you find India, you'll find Ethiopia. Ethiopia is all the way. All right, let me see if I could. All right, so the major languages spoken by the people that were under the Persian rule at that time were Persian, Aramaic, Akkadian, Median, Greek, Elamite, and Sumerian. So now we go to the next. So now the Achaemenid Persian Empire, 500 BCE. This gives us a clearer vision of what we're looking at. So if we look over here, you see Cush. You see Cush? Cush is Ethiopia. Cush is Ethiopia. And now India is all the way over here. So this was the vastness of the empire, where you see up here in green, all the way up here in green, all the way extended all the way over here, all the way to Greece. They was at the doorstep of Greece also. Lydia, what you see all the way up, Macedonia, they conquered all of this. The Nabateans, which is Arabia, which we know today as Saudi Arabia, the Arameans, Babylonia, Assyria, even Israel, Egypt, like I said, Cush. So all these lands, Media, Persis, that's where they come from, the Persians. And this is the Persian Gulf, right? And they got all the way to India, and that's what they rule. It was a large empire. It wasn't just a little piece of land. It was a large empire that this man was ruling. Very large empire. Let us go.
That in those days when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the castle, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants. The army of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty, many days, even 180 days.
So now we're talking about 127 provinces. Now provinces or satraps, right? Which the satrap piece was like, in the provinces he would have a governor, basically. A governor that came back and reported to Persia and Shushan. So all these places that I just showed to you, right, he had people in all those places, major cities, in order that when he called them back, he will understand what's going on in these areas. He will understand what's the temperature in each one of these areas. So that was important. Darius set that up so that he would have full control of everything that was around him and surrounding him. It was very important for him to set that up. So therefore, this is where the provinces and the satrapies come into play. He throws a party for 180 days. Unheard of. You don't hear about that today. That's a half a year. Right. A half a year drinking, feeling nice. But it was important that if you understand history, the half a year party was a party, but it was also to take care of some business. And the business was that the Greeks are starting to kick dust. Because when you're oppressing people, after a while, they want their sovereignty. If you know anything about, well, I could talk about this, Panama, because I was born there. There was a lot of little things that happened before the Panamanians or the people in Panama got the canal back, right? It was, some people died. It was some revolutions happened, right? Because the agreement was that the U.S. was supposed to come, build the canal, and it was supposed to last for like 100 years. But in the meanwhile, while the canal is built, you're supposed to fly 2 flags simultaneously, the American flag and the Panamanian flag. Needless to say, the U.S. after a while said, we ain't flying no Panamanian flag. This is American territory. So the people from Panama was like, hey, y'all are breaking the treaty. We don't want y'all here anymore. We want to be sovereign. Y'all being here don't make us sovereign. Means that y'all are over us. So some things happened. There was a man by the name of Omar Torrijos Herrera, and there was Jimmy Carter, and they signed the Torrijos and the Carter Treaty that, in the year 2000, that the U.S. will relinquish the actual canal to the Panamanian people fully, so that they could operate it and do all types of things with it and gain the money from it and all of that stuff. Right. So people don't like to be oppressed. First thing, when you build military bases in people's lands, the first thing they want to do is they want to tell you, please leave after a while. Because they call it imperialism, they call it all types of stuff, and they don't want to be under your subjugation. Now, you know, this is just a little bit of history. The U.S. has more military bases than any other country in the world, around the world. I think the U.S. got, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, over 500 military bases around the world and other people's countries. In comparison to like China, who got like 3 or 4, Russia might have 6. So the U.S. got their hands all over the place, you know. So people don't like, they want their sovereignty. They don't want people to have them underfoot. They don't want to feel like they being oppressed. Mm-hmm. This is the reality of what life is. You don't want to be oppressed in your own land. That's like somebody coming into your house and telling you what to do. Someone coming to your house and tell you, no, it's not time to do that. You do it at that time. And it's your house that you built, that you put everything into it. Somebody's telling you how to operate in your own home. That's not going to last for too long. You're going to find ways to fight back. So the Greeks are starting to kick up because the Greeks is like, hey, y'all can't oppress us. And the Greeks themselves, they're separated. They got, within Greece itself, they got like 5 different kings. But they understood at this point that we got to come together, and we won't see that later till Philip of Macedon and Alexander come, and they actually bring the empire of Greece together, or the whole country of Greece together, and become one force, and that's when they begin to win. When they were separated, they couldn't win. Once they come together under one rule, they begin to win. So they having their little skirmishes with the Persians, but they win some, the Persians win some. They win some, the Persians win some. So what's going on here in this period of time is that the Persians are actually coming up with a plan. In the 180 days, it's not just an all-out party. They coming up with a plan on how to come and shut down Greece once and for all. The planning, actually, the battle called the Battle of Thermopylae. Thermopylae, if you ever see the movie 300, where what's his name, Leonidas, right? He's actually the king of one of the countries in Greece. I forgot which one it is, but he actually went out there, and they showed you that he went out there with 300 men. He didn't just go out there with 300 men. At the end, he remained with his 300 men, but when they first went out there, they went out there with a little force. They fought the Persian army, which was much more bigger than there, but it was all strategy. The Greeks had strategy, but after a while, the Persians overcame them, right? So this 180 days, he was calling people in from all the provinces to find out what we're going to do about these Greeks. How we going to get them out of here? How we going to bring down their rebellion in order for us to continue succeeding as an empire? Let us go.
Verse 5. And when these days were fulfilled, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the castle, both great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. There were hangers of white, fine cotton, and blue, bordered with cords of fine linen and purple upon silver rods and pillars of marble. The couches were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of green and white and shell and onyx marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the bounty of the king.
So after he threw the 180-day party for everybody in the provinces, now he just threw a 7-day party for the people that served all those people that came from all the provinces. 7-day party for servants within the castle. So he just threw a party, let them have fun, made them enjoy themselves, because he just finished serving people for 180 days. So now we need you to have some fun. So what he had hangings of all types of stuff. He had, what did it say?
And they gave him, and he had hangings of white, fine cotton, and blue, bordered with cords of fine linen and purple, upon silver rods and pillars of marble. The couches were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of green and white and shell and onyx marble.
You ever seen marble? Marble is beautiful. So he let them have the best of what the kingdom had to offer. Say, y'all going to enjoy this with me in here. The common people, you're going to enjoy this with me in here. Let us go.
And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel.
Right? None was forced, but
so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
They should do according to any man's pleasure. Why? Because you just serve people for 180 days. Do whatever it is that you would like to do within the law. But have fun. Relax a little. Don't be so harsh on the people. Let the people enjoy themselves. This is what he's saying. Let's go.
Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus.
So Vashti is the queen. She also made a feast for the women. Obviously, men and women did not party together. So that she had her own feast for all the women servants of the house, during this time. Let's go.
On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Beseta, Harbona, Bigta, and Abagta, Zetar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that ministered in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal.
With the crown royal. So before we go there, right? So now, one important thing that I missed that we have to go to, King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Very important because it explains some of what's happening. Remember Daniel chapter 2, verse 31, or 2:31 through 45. We're not going to read all that, but this is the gist of it. Thou, O king, sawest and behold a great image.
This image, which was mighty and whose brightness was surpassing, stood before thee, and the appearance thereof was terrible.
So this is a replica of what they think the image looked like. But the image had a head of gold, right? So Nebuchadnezzar was the king of what? Babylon. So the head of gold was Nebuchadnezzar, right? Then it says, breast and arms of what? Of silver. That's the medium Persian empire. That's the empire that we're talking about at this moment. Then it said what?
Belly and thighs of brass.
Belly and thigh of brass, that's the Macedonian or the Greek empire. That's the one that's about ready to follow this Medio Persian empire. The next one?
Legs of iron.
That's the Roman Empire. And then the next one?
Feet and toes of clay.
So feet and toes of clay. So you got different schools of argument that say that that's talking about that the feet and toes of clay is talking about, that's really the separation of the, after Alexander dies, that his kingdom initially gets separated into 10 different parts. Then it's brought into 4 different parts. And then after that, it was the Seleucid Empire that tried to take over. And then they said that was that conspicuous horn that tried to take over. For most scholars say that the legs of iron is the Roman Empire and the 10 toes is the European kingdom that come afterwards. And the conspicuous horn is the papacy or the Vatican City, who really controls a lot of what's happening in the surrounding areas because they had a lot of power. You know what I mean? They still have a lot of power. In fact, Vatican City is a country and a nation on its own that sits within a nation. They have their own rules and their own regulations. All right? So that's very important to understand. So right now we're at the breast and arms of silver, which is the Medio Persian Empire. Go back to the Tanakh.
And he said to bring Vashti the queen before the queen with the crown royal to show the peoples and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
Because she was fair to look on. So another thing I want to show right here. So in the movie 300, right, the depictions of the movie 300. So can you just go to that picture and read what it says?
It says the relief on the left is a true depiction of what Ahasuerus, Xerxes I, would have looked like. Not the image above. This is how he is depicted in the movie 300.
So in the movie 300, he's depicted as a freak. The depiction that he left in history of himself is actually someone with royal garments on, with a crown on his head, with a staff, with a goblet in his hand, with a long garment. He did not look like the freak that they showed us in the movie 300. In the movie 300, this guy was out there he's looking crazy. And Darius didn't look like that. Obviously, he didn't depict himself looking like that. He depicted himself looking like a like a royal person. But when you're trying to tweak history, right? How do you make a movie about you taking a loss? And you make yourself look like you're the victor. I mean, eventually in the history, the Greeks take over. But that particular time, you took a loss. You didn't win, you lost. In fact, you got annihilated. So this is the true depiction of Xerxes, of Ahasuerus, not the one that they showed us in the movie. It's very important to do your own research because the movies will keep this image of you forever. Just like they kept the image of a white Christ in our heads and made us think that was God for years. And made us think that was God or that was the Son of God, and we went for that to the point to where we can't get that image out of our heads. So it's important for us to understand that how these people really look, because they left reliefs behind so that we'll be able to see how they truly look. Let us go.
Verse 12.
So he wanted Vashti to come out with the crown royal on her head, right? So go to the part where it says Vashti.
Vashti, the meaning of the name Vashti is uncertain. As a modern Persian name, it understood to mean goodness.
Goodness.
But most likely it originated from the reconstructed Old Persian Vashti, related to the superlative adjective Vahista, best, excellent, found in the Avesta, with the feminine termination I or E, hence excellent woman, best of woman.
So they saying her name probably meant excellent woman or best woman. Let's go.
The verse states on the 7th day.
So this is from the Talmud, and this is where the confusion comes in, because the actual text don't say this, but this is what they came up with in the Gomorrah. Let us go.
Actually, we didn't get to that part yet.
All right, go read the first part.
The verse states on the 7th day when the heart of the king was merry with wine, in Esther chapter 1, verse 10. The Gemara asked, is that to say that until now his heart was not merry with wine? Did it take 7 days for him to achieve merriment? Rava said the 7th day was Shabbat, when the difference between the Jewish people and the Gentiles is more apparent. On Shabbat, when the Jewish people eat and drink, they begin by occupying themselves with words of Torah and words of praise for God. But the nations of the world, when they eat and drink, they begin only with words of licentiousness.
Lasciviousness, right? So licentiousness. So what they're saying is, during this feast, when they got to the 7th day, it's actually talking about the Shabbat day. So that they just wanted, like Israelites, when we get to the 7th day, we pray to the Most High God before we drink and we eat and we do all those things. But that the Persians just talk anything. They talk any vulgarity, anything that comes out of their mouths. Go back to the Tanakh and see where it talks about Vashti refusing to come.
Verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by the chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. So
they was drunk, but that drunkenness went away quick. Because why? He commanded her to come, and she refused it. Right. So what's happening here? He got embarrassed.
Right.
Remember, he's partying with all the fellas. So allegedly what happened is they said that, and this is some of the other writings that they talk about. They said that they were making a bet. They said, no, the women from Media are beautiful, more beautiful. They said, no, the women from Persian are more beautiful. So Ahasuerus said, Maz is the baddest of them all. She's more beautiful than any one of them.
Right.
And she's from Babylon. So then they said, yeah. They said, all right, so make her come over here just with the crown royal on her head and nothing on. This is what the writings. Go to the next part where it says Vashti, the next verse, where you left off at.
The Gemara continues to detail what occurred at the feast.
This is not written in the Tanakh, but this is what they added in their commentary. Let's go.
So too at the feast of that wicked man, Ahasuerus, when the man began to converse, some said, the Median women are the most beautiful, while others said, the Persian women are the most beautiful. Ahasuerus said to them, The vessel that I use, my wife, is neither Median nor Persian, but rather Chaldean.
Chaldean is Babylonian. Let's go.
Do you wish to see her? They said to him. Yes, provided that she be naked, for we wish to see her without any additional adornment.
Who gets that from reading the text? Did you get that from reading Esther? It just said, tell her to come with the crown royal on her head. Right. He didn't say, tell her to come naked with nothing. No. But this is the kind of stuff they come up with in the commentary. Right. And people actually believe this stuff. But we know that we go by the Tanakh and the Torah. Right? But this is the stuff. But it's fodder. It's stuff that make you think and make you laugh sometimes. Go to the next verse.
The Gemara comments, Vashti was punished in this humiliating way, for it is with the measure that a man measures to others that he himself is measured. In other words, God punishes individuals in line with their transgressions, measure for measure. This teaches that the wicked Vashti would take the daughters of Israel and strip them naked and make them work.
Now, I agree that God punish you measure for measure, unless you repent and he shows you forgiveness. But they saying like, they adding all this other stuff to the text that's not even written. Go ahead.
Therefore, it is decreed that she brought before the king naked on Shabbat. This is as it is written, after these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti.
So all right,
what she had done.
You could go back to the scripture. So you see the things that I bring all these things to you, so you could be well rounded. So you understand all the things that are out there. You don't. When people bring things to you, you understand what is it that they're bringing. Mm-hmm. I go into these things so that we can have a greater understanding of what's happening before us. Let us go.
Verse 13.
Verse 13.
Then the king said to the wise men who knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karashina, Shetar, Armata, Tarshish, Merez, Marsina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, who saw the king's face and sat first in the kingdom. Mm-hmm. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti?
They said automatically, what shall we do to Vashti? Because this is not looking good.
Right.
You're the king. You called her and she did not come. So we have to do something about this. This is out your hands, king. Let's go.
What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? For as much as she have not done the bidding of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king of the princes, Vashti the queen have not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the peoples that are in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
Says she didn't only violate you, king, she violated all the men, because this will set precedents for any future thing. That means a man could call his wife and she could say, I'm not coming. So it shows you the difference between back then and today. It shows you the difference of back then and today. Because today, a lot of women would feel like she didn't do anything wrong. She just didn't feel like coming. But his own counsel that was around him told him, this is going to set a precedent. She didn't only disrespect you, she disrespected us. Because in any case, their wives was going to look and said, Vashti didn't even listen to Ahasuerus. So why should I listen to you? He's the king.
Right.
Who is you? You the keeper of the dung gate. You wash the dishes. You're not the king. Vashti said no to the king. So that's why his counsel is saying, this is not only looking bad for you, it's looking bad for all of us.
Right.
And we can't have this in the kingdom. Let us go.
For this deed of the queen will come abroad unto all women, to make their husbands contemptible in their eyes, when it will be said, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. And this day will the princesses of Persia and Media, who have heard of the deed of the queen, say like unto all the king's princes. So will there arise enough contempt and wrath, if it please the king, let there go forth a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and that the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
People say, well, that's severe. Why would they go that far? Hey, you playing high stakes.
Yeah.
You're talking about the leader of a kingdom. We're not talking about you and your house and the confines of your house and something happens within your house. They said a house is to do what? To cover shame. There's certain things that are not supposed to come out the house. She did it publicly. So he had to do something public that was of equal effort or force in order to balance out what she did. Because she did not only disrespect him, she disrespected all the men. That's the point. That's why they brought that to him the way. So it shows us that within our homes, we have to understand what is the pecking order. And where the buck stops. Sometimes people don't want to, oh man, do we living in different times? We living in different times. But it says, seek ye the ancient path.
That's right.
And when you find it, you're going to find rest in it. Right? Because the man always has to answer to God. Now, yes, you might be a woman that have it together, that understand that you might be brighter than your husband. But you cannot go outside the realm of doing something, because in this instance, he might say no. And because you're so used to bucking, right, that you easily disrespect. And this is what they were looking at. They said, nah, this cannot happen because this is going to affect all of us. Let us go.
Verse 20. And when the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his kingdom, great though it be, all the wives will give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
Wives will give honor to their husbands, great and small, from the keeper of the dung gate to the washer of the dishes. Everybody gonna get honor. Let's go.
And the word pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan, for he sent letters into all the king's provinces, and to every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house and speak according to the language.
Although this only happened in Shushan and it was only the people of the castle, you know bad news travel fast.
Yeah.
Well, you know that got out quick. They never talk about the good stuff. They talk about the bad stuff. So, good little child, let me tell you something. Let me tell you what happened. Huh?
Vashti.
I was right there. I was right there. You wasn't even there. I was right there. I saw it. Vashti said, H-E-L-L, no. That's right, girl. That's what she said. Huh? I'm not coming nowhere. I was in the house with the women. She said, I ain't going nowhere. Boy, if you would have let that just go back, man, he would have been done. Would have been a rebellion. He wouldn't have to worry about the Greeks. He just have to worry about the women. He said, man, she told me you weren't nowhere. You ain't hear nothing. So they say, you know what? Send a letter in all them languages, Elamite, Greek, Akkadian, and all them languages that they were speaking, Persian. Send it out to all the provinces that the man is going to rule his own house. Every man is a king of his castle. You don't disrespect a man in his house. You don't, man, woman, children, you don't disrespect a man in his house. That's why in the law it tells you, they said, if a man if you got the pledge, you're coming to get the pledge from the man. You don't come into his house.
Right.
Because you're belittling him in front of his house and his family. You wait.
Let him bring it out.
Let him bring it out. Because that's minimizing him. Because you coming into his house, you know he don't have it because he's giving you the pledge because he needs money from you. So therefore, that exchange can't happen in the house. You got to go outside. That's a business that has to be taken care of outside the house because he's giving something that maybe his family needs in order to get some kesef, in order to do something for the house. Right. So you can't belittle him. And then it says, if you have a pledge that's raiment or anything, it says return it back to him before what? Before sun go down. That's God, man. That's the way the Most High God set it up. Let us go.
Chapter 2. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was assuaged, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be sought for the king young virgins fair to look on.
He got soft. He said, Vashti, how I love thee, Vashti. Where you at, Vashti? Yeah, because Vashti was a wife. Vashti, you see, it wasn't because of the physical thing where he needed blue room action, because he had a harem. So he could get a woman whenever he wants to. He could go lay with a woman, with a concubine whenever he wants to. But there's a difference between a wife and all other women. A wife is a precious thing. And nigga, you talk these Negroes out here talking about they want to make you. You ain't nobody concubine. You a wife.
That's right.
Don't fall for that game. Ain't no kings out here with no harems that could take care of you and all your family and none of that stuff. Say you want to be a wife. Let nobody run no game on you.
That's right. Not
unless you want to be in that position. But don't let nobody run no game on you like that. So the difference between Vashti and all the other women is that Vashti was his queen. Mm-hmm. That's why everything ain't, and also everything is not wife material. You have to become wife material. Because you got some doozies. And I'm not talking about people that's been through ups and downs and, you got your struggles in life. But you also have to understand today, you talk about women, I see interviews, they talk about their body count. Right. That's nasty. That you could be on camera talking about, what's your body count? 20. 20 men have entered you? 11 men have entered you? They talking about body counts. This is what they're doing. So that 20, if you had a 20 count body count, who gonna make you a wife? Who gonna make you a wife? Or who wants to make you a wife? Now there's repentance for people. You got to come back, but you got to change your ways.
Right.
You got to change. You have to change your ways. That's not decency. You have to change your ways. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that now he's yearning for Vashti because she was a wife. He loved her. And I say this every year. It's a famous poet by the name of Too Short.
Too Short.
He said, you can't turn her into a housewife. Last year, Ema told me, say it. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. You're not going to make her a housewife. So we have to be careful to who we choose. And women, if you've been in situations and you know that you've done things, change your life. Let this be the beginning of you changing your life and become a more decent person. Don't let nobody take advantage of you. Find yourself a husband. Find yourself a man who's going to care for you and love you. And love you. Not somebody who's just going to say, yeah, you just when I'm in need of something, I'm going to call you late in the night. Not unless that's what you want to be. And I don't think that that's what sisters want to be. Let us go.
Verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the castle, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hegai the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their ointments be given them, and let the maiden that pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti.
So now it's a beauty pageant for the new Miss Persia.
Right.
The new queen we're going to go through the whole, everything, 127 satrapies. And we're going to find all the young virgins. Now, Ahasuerus is an older man. Mm-hmm. He's maybe in his 40s at this time. What type of girls you think they brought to him? You think they brought a 40-year-old virgin woman to him?
No, sir. Young teen.
Virgins are young. Virgins are not maidens. And those times, you marry your daughters off early. Live in different times, I understand. You want your kids to go to school, you want them to do all this stuff. But the reality is, in those times, and even if you go back a few generations back, women or girls were married at 16, 15. In this time, in this diaspora, in the Caribbean and America, people married young. The woman married young. That wasn't out of place. Today we look at it, oh, there's the old man, what you doing with that? Mark Anthony just got married. Mark Anthony's 53. He just got married with a 23-year-old, and they trying to kill Mark Anthony. I said, Mark Anthony, live your best life. Can he take care of the woman? Yes. They wanted to kill Mark Anthony. I mean, he got a young, beautiful wife, and they want to kill the man. He living his best life. He was already with J-Lo, and she been with everybody. Twice. I knew it was coming. She double dipping now. So he said, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try something new, young, and she's of age. Body count low. He was waiting to say that one too, bro. Let's go.
And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Verse 5. And there was a certain Hebrew in Shushan the castle, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Yair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captives that had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Yehuda, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
Right.
And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther,
Mordecai,
his uncle's daughter.
His uncle's daughter,
But
which
she had
makes her his
neither
cousin.
father nor mother, and the maiden was a beautiful
She became
form.
an orphan. Her cousin, Mordecai, obviously he was a little bit older than her, few years older than her. And her uncle, his uncle, left her. She had to be an orphan, and he took her and he adopted her. The noble thing to do. Right? And although they were cousins, she did not tell him, "You just my cousin. You can't tell me what to do."
Right.
Why? Because he adopted her. That cousin thing meant nothing. That was her parent. Sometimes you get into situations, right? You get into relationships with women that might have children. The worst thing you could do as a child, if a man came in and took the place of your father and did a job to raise you up, took you from when you were small, he didn't have to take on that responsibility. You were a little snotty nose. You didn't even know, you didn't know your right foot from your left foot. He taught you some coordination. He took you out on the court. He taught you how to shoot a jump shot. He went to the emergency room with you. He did, when you broke your leg, he was there. He nurtured you. He cared for you like you was his own seed. And then you get 16, 17. And the famous words you tell him,
You ain't my dad.
You ain't my father. You wicked and you wrong.
That's a fact.
Because what happens is the minute you say that to someone, or even a mother, somebody who you might have been a child, that you didn't have your mother with you. Your father was raising you up the best he could. Young girl, your father didn't know how to braid and all that. He got with this lady. And the lady took you and nurtured you and was there with you when you were sick and all that. And then you get 16 and 17 and your chest is poking out a little. Your butt is sticking out a little. And first thing you say, you not my mother. The pieces that you tear off of a person, you can't even imagine. You're lucky if they even have love for you anymore. Like they don't even want to get close with you no more. So be careful what you say out your mouth, because those things hurt. Don't be so quick to tell someone, you're not my father, and that man raised you. Don't be so quick to tell a woman, you're not my mother, and she raised you.
That's right.
That's ungodly. That's ungodly. So Hadassah couldn't do that. Esther couldn't do that. Just say, you just my cousin. You can't tell me what to do. Yes, he can. Because he raised you. Let us go.
And the maiden was a beautiful form and fair to look on. And when her father and mother were dead, Mordecai took her for his own daughter.
Uh-huh.
Verse 8.
He took her for his own daughter. I mean, he adopted her. that cousin thing went out the window. Let's go.
So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was published, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the castle, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was taken into the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her her ointments with her portions, and the 7 maidens who were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he advanced her and her maidens to the best place in the house of the women.
Best place of the house of the woman. Let's go.
Esther had not made known her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not tell it.
Mordecai told her, when you get in there, don't let them know who you are.
That's right.
Taking instruction and advice. Even sometimes you leave your house, your parents give you instruction. You got to listen and you have to follow. Mm-hmm. If it's not to your detriment or it's against the laws of the Creator,
right? Let
us go.
And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what would become of her.
Because this is a contest. You ever see those beauty pageants? Them girls get up there. Mm-hmm. Now, Miss Philippines, what are you going to do if you had to save the world? Well, I would stop the emission of gasoline and the use of gasoline, and I would go strictly solar and battery-operated vehicles. You'd be like, well, how Miss Philippine talk perfect English? When you look past that, she's in a bathing suit or something like that, you'd be like, how she speak perfect English? Man be looking at those contests and they don't even notice, like, how she speak such perfect English? How Miss China speak English so perfectly? Mm-hmm. Your mind be somewhere else. So these women had to come with their best. It was a contest. And they were set aside for 12 months. Mm-hmm. He wasn't in no rush to jump in the meat tie with them. Them girls is coming off the field. They got callus in their hands. They got bunions. They got rough skin, dead skin. They're going to sit and marinate in some oils. Mm-hmm. They're going to smell good so that stuff could come out their pores. Mm-hmm. He's not rushing. He got women. But he's looking for what? His next queen, a wife. So all these women are doing their best. Some women want the extra piece on top of their head. Some women want the extra tail on their dresses. They want, they're trying to make that impression. Mm-hmm. But Esther just got whatever was given to her. She didn't want anything extra. Let's go.
Now when the turn of every maiden was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that it had been done to her according to the law for the women, 12 months. For so were the days of their anointing accomplished to it. 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other ointments of the women. When then the king came unto the king, whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shaashgaz the king's chamberlain, who kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king had delighted in her.
So it says, in the evening she went into who? The king, right? Mm-hmm. So when all these women, they went into the king. If he slept with them, he didn't, we don't know. But they went into him, and then the morrow is not the next day, but it's the what? The morning. Mm-hmm. The morning. In the morning, they leave out and they go to the house of the women, because they don't go back to their houses after that. Who else, if the king slept with her, who else in the kingdom gonna sleep with her? Nobody. You can't say that, yeah, I've been with King Ahasuerus' woman. Right. That's the power of a king. But that's why God told us not to multiply. He told the kings of Israel, he told them what? Don't multiply wives, because now it's playing on your ego. Kings of Israel are not supposed to have harems, but we didn't listen to that very well, because you got King David. King David had about 10 women. Mm-hmm. Then his son Solomon went above and beyond the call of duty. Then the sons after that also did the same thing. So that wasn't a law that they listened to very well. You know what I'm saying? God did not want the kings to have harems, because you got to take care of the affairs of the nation. Mm-hmm. And you have to listen to me also. You have to concentrate on writing out of the book of the law every day. You have to take care of the things you're supposed to take care of. So let's go.
And she came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and she was called by name.
You see, unless the king delighted in her, that means they didn't go back home. They went into a harem of women, and that's where they stayed until the king said, I want so-and-so from up there, and I want the girl from India to come in tonight. Let's go.
Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abigail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing. But
she wanted nothing. Our women got natural beauty. She required nothing.
Right.
They said that she was shapely. They said, that's what the book said. It said that she was good of goodly form. Read on. Go ahead.
And he, God, was coming to go into the king. She required nothing but what he got the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her.
Yeah, because when she went in there, her godliness and her righteousness was what came out. That's how it is with us when we are in our right state of mind. We go anywhere, our godliness comes out, shines forth first. If you are godly. So when she went in there, she was shining bright like a diamond, like Rihanna said. She was shining bright like a diamond. She stood out. Now, God is not mentioned or even talked about in this book, but it's a lot of the Most High that's happening here. And he's putting her in position to succeed. Why? Because the Most High is in the picture, always with Israel. Always with Israel. No matter what happens, the Most High is in the picture. All you have to do is trust in him. Put your trust in him, and he will be there. Let's go.
So Esther was taken into King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tevet, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther.
He loved it, her. He loved it, Esther. Let's go.
Above all the women.
Above all the women.
And she obtained grace and favor in his sight, more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
Esther is the new queen of Persia. Let's go.
Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's.
He happy now. He ain't thinking about Vashti anymore. Oh, and guess what? Nobody could take Vashti either. She just shut out somewhere in exile, but nobody could grab her, and she can't remarry. She was just the crown was just taken off her head. She's still his woman. Let's go.
And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the bounty of the king.
He's happy once again. Let's go.
And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, and Mordecai sat in the king's gate, Esther had not yet made known her kindred nor her people.
Why? Because Mordecai told her, don't let them know. Let's go.
As Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigtan and Teresh, of those that kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus. And the thing became known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther told the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, and it was found to be so, they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
So Mordecai had heard that these guys was trying to kill the king. So Mordecai, being that Esther is his daughter, his cousin slash daughter, he told Esther, listen, these guys trying to kill the king. They did inquisition, an inquiry, and they said, yeah, you was trying to kill the king. So both of those guys were hung. And it was written in the annals of the book of the kings for record. So let's keep this in mind, because this is going to be a main part of the history when we get to further along in the story. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advance him. And he set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
So some historian says that this Haman, that Agagite, that he was from the seed of Amalek. That's what some historians say. I know I get flack from Rabbi Chief Benjamin, but I have to put it out there so that you will be well-rounded. I'm not saying that this guy is an Amalekite or he's from that seed of Agag, right? Because Benjamin's argument is, well, Agag got wiped away, so how was he, did he have any children? But this is what some of the Bible scholars say, that he's from that seed, that he's an Amalekite, and that the tribe of Benjamin and the Amalekites had problems from the time of Saul and King Agag, because remember, he did not kill King Agag. He brought him in when the Most High God told him to kill everything. And the prophet Samuel had to end up killing Agag, right? The Amalekite. So let's go.
And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed down and prostrated themselves before Haman. For the king had so commanded.
The king commanded that every time someone saw Haman to bow down to him. Let's go.
But Mordecai bowed not down, nor prostrated himself before him.
For whatever reason, Mordecai did not bow down. He did not bow down to Haman. He said, I'm not bowing down to him. Now, some Bible historians, I believe it might be in the Talmud also, where they said that the reason why he didn't bow down is because they said Haman's garments had idols all over it. So he refused to bow down to him because he had idols all over his garment. That's not what the scripture says. It says that Mordecai did not bow down. That's it. For whatever reason it might be, they might have been on the same level. He got elevated. Maybe he didn't like him from before. It could be a matter of it could be a plethora of things of why he didn't bow down, but he refused to bow down. He didn't want to bow down to Haman. Let's go.
Then the king's servants that were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
So these are the what we call the gas masters, the people who go from one side to the other and gas things up. It said, Mordecai, why haven't you bowed down, man? The king said you gotta bow down to Haman. Mordecai's like, there's no reason. I'm just not bowing down. Read on.
Now it came to pass when they spoke daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's words would stand. For he had told them that he was a Hebrew.
He told them he was a Hebrew, right? It says there a Jew, but Jews are Hebrews, and in the Hebrew it will say Yehudi, right? So now it talks about they came to him several times. Why haven't you bowed down? So finally you know how bad stories travel fast. So now, boom, now they go to Haman and say, yeah, you know, Mordecai ain't bowing down to you. Didn't the king say for people to bow down to you one day? You know, and blah, 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 blah. And then that's how it goes. So now they put the spotlight on Mordecai. Let's go.
And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not down, nor prostrated himself before him, then was Haman full of wrath.
He was full of wrath. He's like, I dare him. But a normal thinking person, why would you, if everybody else is bowing down and one person is not bowing down, I mean, a normal thinking person would be like, I'm not sweating that. But go to Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18 and 19 and read that. It's talking about pride. Man's pride and how we look at things and what our pride causes us to do and what happens to us.
You said Proverbs 16?
Yeah, verse 18 and 19.
Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. That means watch that prideful spirit, because usually you're about ready to fall because of that prideful spirit. And this is what Haman was supposed to be looking at, because if everybody else is bowing down to you, why are you picking on this one man? Let's go. Go to the next verse.
Better it is to be of a lowly spirit with the humble than to divide the spoil with the proud.
You hear that? Better it is to be of a lowly spirit with the humble than to divide the spoils with the proud. You better off being by yourself with the humble, with the poor, with the needy, than to divide the spoil with the proud, because the proud will kill you for your spoils. Yeah, you be making money with someone, y'all thinking you making money, you all making money together, man, kill you. He'll put an insurance policy on you and then kill you. And y'all making money. But they'll pull an insurance policy on you and will kill you just to make money. So you better off with the humble, with the poor. When it says the humble, the word for humble is like poor. Same thing like in Spanish where you say he come from, when people say, in English says, he come from humble beginnings, come from a poor status. Humilde in Spanish is humilde. It's poor. You come from poor status. You better off with those people than with rich people that just want that they'll do anything just to they'll kill you just to take money from you. Go back to Esther.
Verse 6. But it seemed contemptible in his eyes to lay hands on Mordecai alone.
He said it was too easy just to lay hands on him alone, but let's see what he's going to think of.
For they had made known to him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Hebrews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, which is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, even which is the month.
So right here it
Adar.
said the pur is part or portion, lot, die, oracle. Pur refers to casting of lots and the consulting of astrologers. So they went to the lots to see what day will be the best day to exterminate or to get rid of the entire nation or the southern kingdom at this point. Let us go.
And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
Listen how you going to frame it. Let's go.
And their laws are diverse from those of every people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it profiteth not the king to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those that have the charge of the king's business, to bring it into the king's treasuries. And the king took his ring from his hand, and gave it unto Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Hebrews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
So now, he's the right-hand man of the king. He got elevated. So being my right-hand man, I'm going to trust everything that you say.
Right.
Because we obviously see things eye to eye. So you think just like how I think. Right. So he's telling the king, listen, there's some people in the kingdom that really, they're rebellious. Their history show that they're rebellious. It's not worth having them in the midst of us. All this because of one man that won't bow down to him. So he's gassing up the king and framing it in the way that he wants to frame it. To make the people look, when it's really one person, he made the whole nation look like they were evil. And the king, being trustworthy of him, said, hey man, here go my signet ring. Do what you got to do. I don't need trouble. If you got my back, I trust that you're doing the right thing. So now we look over here, we see the seal of Xerxes. This is how that ring would have looked, right? That ring would have looked just like that. The seal of Ahasuerus, or Xerxes the first, born in 519 BC, Xerxes the Great ruled Persia from 486 to 465 BC. Continued the fight against the Greeks and burned Athens, but was defeated by the Greek fleet. Xerxes was assassinated by
Artabanus, the commander of his royal guard, in 465 BC. He was succeeded by his son Artaxerxes, who put Artabanus to death.
So actually the first guys that tried to kill him didn't succeed, but eventually it caught up to him because his own people killed him in 465 BCE. So when we're talking about when he took, so I was wrong in my count. When he took Esther, he was about 29, 30. He was about 29, 30 when he took Esther. I said about 40, but he was like 29, 30. All right, let us go.
Verse 12. Then were the king's scribes called in the first month, on the 13th day thereof, and there was written according to all that Haman commanded unto the king's satraps.
On the 12th month, we're going to annihilate these people, and this is what we're going to do. Let's go.
And to the governors that were over every province, and to the princes of every people, to every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and it was sealed with the king's ring.
And it was sealed with the king's ring. Let's go.
And letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all Hebrews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. The copy of the writing to be given out for a decree in every province was to be published unto all the peoples, that they should be ready against that day. The post went forth in haste by the king's commandment, and the decree was given out in Shushan the castle. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan were perplexed.
They were perplexed because they didn't know where this came from. All of a sudden, you're talking about kill all these people?
Right.
And they're offering 10,000 talents of silver. So now, we got here, go to the silver. 10,000 talents of silver today, right? So, from my count, when I did my initial research, a talent of silver is equivalent to 75 pounds, 1 talent. Now, it could be anywhere from 75 pounds to 90 pounds, 1 talent. But I went with the lower number, 75 pounds for 1 talent of silver. So let's do how much 10,000 talents of silver will be worth today at the lowest point, which is 75 pounds per talent. Let's go.
Back to the portion?
No,
to
to that.
this?
Yeah, just read that off.
1 talent of silver is equivalent to 75 pounds. There are 16 ounces per pound in the United States customary system. The price of silver is currently $21.23 per ounce as of the closing market on March 1st. 1 pound of silver today will be worth $21.23 times 16 equals $339.68. So 1 talent of silver will be worth $339.68 times 75, which is equivalent to $25,476. 10,000 talents of silver today is worth $25,047 times 10,000, which equals to $254,760,000.
But I made a mistake, but it's supposed to be 25,000. I put a period instead of a comma there, but it's supposed to be 25,000. So today, 10,000 talents of silver will be worth 250 something, and that's at the lowest point. So now we're talking, if a talent is 90 pounds, now we're talking upwards of close to almost 500 million or something like that, close to that. So we see the amount of money that the king could just say, yeah, just 10,000 talents of silver. 10,000 talents of silver. The type of money that they had to put on. So they had to divide that. I guess they had to break it up into how many Hebrews were coming in or whatever. But that's how much they was given. So how much money did they really have? How much wealth did they really have? Amazing the amount of money that they had. Go back to the portion.
Chapter 4. Now when Mordecai knew all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
So God is not mentioned, but he rent his clothes. What that means?
Mourning, fasting.
Mourning, fasting. That's what we did, right? When we want to get closer to God, we call for God's attention. We fast, we mourn, we tear our clothes, we sit in ashes, we put ashes on our heads. God is all over. The Creator, Yah, is all over this. He doesn't have to be mentioned for us to know that he's the one that's turning the wheels. Sometimes he puts us in predicaments of hardship in order for us to react and look to him.
That's right.
Because sometimes we think it's in the power of our hands, but everything comes from Yah.
Amen.
Everything, the good, the bad, comes from him.
That's
he
right.
wants us to turn to him. Let us go.
And he came even before the king's gate. For none might enter within the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was a great mourning among the Hebrews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth.
Because the people could not understand what was happening. So the first thing they did was they cried, they wept, they mourned, and they went to the Creator. Let us go.
And Esther's maidens and her chamberlains came and told it her, and the queen was exceedingly pained. And she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai.
Yeah, she said, why are you walking around with your clothes all ripped off? What's going on? So she sent raiments to clothe him because she did not know what was happening because she's incubated and castellated in the castle. She don't know the affairs of what's going on outside because she can't just go outside and start walking around either because she is the queen. And just like they try to kill the king, they'll try to kill the queen. Or they'll try to kidnap her or do anything that they want to do because that's the king's wife. Let's go.
And she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take his sackcloth from off him, but he accepted it not. Then called Esther for Hattat, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and charged him to go to Mordecai to know what this was and why it was. So Hatak went forth to Mordecai into the broad place of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and the exact sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Hebrews to destroy them. Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given out in Shushan to destroy them, and to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people.
For her people. So now, when this eunuch came out, because you got to have eunuchs around women, the king's women, because you're not going to have a normally functioning man around the woman or the harem, because things are going to happen. You know, so the eunuch came out, found out from Mordecai what's going on. Mordecai told the eunuch everything that was happening, gave the account of what was put out there, and send it back to Esther so that she be aware of what's happening out here and why the people are mourning the way that they are. Let's go.
And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Then Esther spoke unto Hatak and gave him a message unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law for him, that he be put to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live, but have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. And they told Mordecai Esther's words.
So Esther's saying, listen, everybody knows that if you go before the king and he didn't summons you, and he don't put out that golden scepter, that's off with your head.
Right.
It doesn't matter who it is. Say, he hasn't come around me in 30 days. Now, remember, I told you, this is around the time that they're planning to invade Greece.
Right.
So there's a lot of high-powered meetings going on, and he didn't have time to go see his queen. Now, today, if you miss him for 4 or 5 days, you got a problem in your house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your wife would be like, what's going on? Old school mothers and wives understand, because sometimes men in those times, they will go, or they had type of jobs that they had to go away. Today, 30 days, you might come back and not have a wife, depending on who you living with in these streets. That's just reality. Or you might come back and have a wife that was touched. Yeah, it happens in the military all the time. Young guys be having broken hearts. They go away, they on a tour. The tour calls for them to be away for 6 months. They come back. How are you pregnant? I wasn't here. It doesn't match up.
Math ain't math.
Yeah. I've been gone for 6 months. You're only 2 months pregnant. So these are the things that happen. But, you know, she's like, I'm the queen, but he hasn't been around me for 30 days. So, sometimes you have to understand that as like, you got athletes today that go away for 2 weeks. They on the road. You got men that got jobs that they on the road. It shouldn't be that when he comes back, he doesn't have a wife anymore. His wife is all touched. These are things that we need to understand as God's people. And I shouldn't have to reiterate this to God's people, but unfortunately, you got people out here that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. That's why the law was left here for us.
Right.
Let us go.
Then Mordecai bade them return answer unto Esther. Think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house, more than all the Hebrews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then will relief and deliverance arise to the Hebrews from another place. But thou and thy father's house will perish. And who knoweth whether thou art not come to royal estate for such a time as this? Then Esther bade them return answer unto Mordecai. Go, gather together all the Hebrews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast in like manner. And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
You hear that? At first she was apprehensive, but the king, and if he didn't call me, and if this, he said, listen. He said, whether you do it or someone else do it. Siri, I wasn't talking to you, Siri. So whether you do it or someone else do it, the Most High God going to find his way.
That's right.
He going to find someone to do it. But you're in position right now to do this. All right? So let's be a little bit brave and do what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And she did not say, you ain't my father. You can't tell me what to do. Right. What she said? She said, gather all the people. Mm-hmm. And she said, fast for me, pray for me. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's still, God is still not mentioned, but you know what's happening through the actions.
Right.
And she said, if I perish, I perish. Because there are situations in life that might require your life, that you might have to put your life on the line, that are greater than you. Certain things in the movement, certain things with your family. A man has to go out there all the time. If his family is being harmed, the man has to bow up and he has to go out there and he has to fight. That's why you're a man. That's why you're a man. That's why you put in charge of the house. When your wife said, so as a man, you're supposed to go out there and you're supposed to handle that. Mm-hmm. Your children, you go out there as a protector and you're supposed to handle that. As a man. But there's certain things, even as a woman, that you have to put, your valor has to show. And it shows in our history, a great woman like Esther, that she bowed up and she said, if I must die, then I will die. Mm-hmm. We see it with Deborah the prophetess. She told, who was it? Barak. She told Barak, said the glory going to be given to a woman.
That's right.
And Yael put that tent pin through Sisera's head, mm-hmm. through his temple. So we had great women in our history. It said Miriam led the women in singing. She said she grabbed the top of Miriam and she started praising. Mm-hmm. The horse and his rider. Mm. Let us go.
So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. Chapter 5. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house.
Put on your red dress. Mm-hmm. Let all your hair down. And some of that sweet perfume. She did it because women know how to do it. She said, I got to be on my best behavior right here. I'm going to put on that dress that when I go like this, bang. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're going to be like, oh. I ain't been with her in 30 days. That's what she did. Mm-hmm. Let's go.
And stood in the inner court of the king's house over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the entrance of the house. So
the royal house is like you come in, it's a big court, but he's sitting on his throne and the entrance is, let's say it's right here, but he's all the way up on his throne. Yeah. So when you appear at the door, he could see you, right? So let's go.
And it was so. When the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight.
He forgot about them 30 days in Greece and all that. He said when he saw her, he said she won favor in his sight. Let's go.
And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter.
The golden scepter. Oh, she don't got to worry about dying now. Oh, everything is working now. God is in the matter. Let's go.
So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
Man, she bowed down. Wow. Live forever, king. Live forever. Let's go.
Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther?
What wilt thou, Queen? And now he running his game. Let's go. What wilt thou? What you want, baby? What's going on?
For whatever thou request.
For whatever you request.
Even to half of the kingdom.
I said, I'll give you half of what I got, baby. What you want? It shall be given you. What you want now, baby? Let's go.
And Esther said, if it seem good unto the king.
She said, if it seem good unto the king, let's go.
Let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet.
I want you and your right-hand man to come to this banquet of wine that I prepared for y'all. Because it says that it said one thing about the Persians. Mausia, can you put it into the, look. No, look. I'm trying to get to.
I'm on it. No, it's after that one.
It's after?
Hold on. Go back.
Oh, yeah, I got to go back.
Back. Right there.
Persians and their drinking habits. Let's talk about that.
Herodotus on Persia and the Persians.
Herodotus is a Greek philosopher. Let's go.
They are very fond of wine and drink in large quantities.
This is the Persians. They like drinking wine. Let's go.
To vomit or obey natural cause in the presence of another is forbidden among them.
You can't have a weak stomach drinking around. If you vomit and you do all that, they look at you as a very weak man. Let's go.
Such are their customs in these matters.
Such are their customs in this matter. Let's go.
It is also their general practice to deliberate upon affairs of weight when they are drunk, and then on the morrow when they are sober, the decision to which they came the night before is put before them by the master of the house in which it was made, and if it is then approved, they act on it. If not, they set it aside.
It says, how the saying go? A drunk. Yeah, that. So they take care of matters of weight drunk. Mm-hmm. Because they said when you drunk, you speak your truth. So they said, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to drink on that. You say you're going to sell me that parcel of land, right? Yes, I'm going to sell it to you. Come on, let's have some strong drink. Clink. Drink some more. You say you're going to sell me that parcel of land, right? Yeah. Clink. Drink some more. You going to sell me that? Yeah. Bang. You going to sell it to me, right? Yeah. You go to your house, you sleep it off, you come back after the headache wore off. Mm-hmm. You going to sell me that parcel of land? Now, you got to agree while you're drunk and while you're sober. So if you agree when you're drunk, but then you don't agree when you're sober, it's no deal. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's actually logical, right? It's logical. As crazy as it sounds, it's logical. So this is how they took affairs and matters while they were drunk and while they were sober. Let's go back to the tonight.
Verse 5. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that it may be done as Esther hath said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared, and the queen said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, whatever thy petition, it shall be granted thee. And whatever thy request, even to half of the kingdom.
Even to half of it. He's still kicking what we used to call back in the days the Willy Bobo. Mm-hmm. Let's go. Remember we used to say that, the Willy Bobo? Mm-hmm. It's called game. Let's go.
Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king.
Oh, she laying down the plan. Sweet. She said, come back another day. Mm-hmm. She said, y'all nice right now. Y'all drunk. I want you to come back another day. And they agree while they drunk. Yes. Let's go.
Then when Haman forth that day, joyful and glad of heart.
Oh, man. The Haman went.
But when Haman saw Mordecai.
He was happy because she invited me. She didn't invite no one else. She invited me. Let's go.
But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not nor moved for him, Haman was filled with wrath against
Proverbs
Mordecai.
16 said what? Pride goes before the what?
Fall.
Yeah, destruction. Because why? Because all this is happening and you can't see the brighter side of it. Mm-hmm. Because this guy's just, my hatred for him is causing me to do all this evil. Let's go.
Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself and went home. And he sent out and fetched his friends, Zeresh and his wife. And Haman recounted all unto them.
He gonna brag to them.
The glory of his riches.
Oh, look how rich I am.
Of his
Who does that? Who calls their friends to say how rich they are? Who do that? Let's go.
And the multitude of his children and everything as to how the king had promoted him and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of
I'm viceroy of Persia. You're nothing. Me, I'm the right-hand man of the king. You are nothing. You will remain to be nothing. That's how he was doing it. Because, when you start bragging, you say the most hurtful stuff. You start bragging or you start talking junk. Mm-hmm. You say the most hurtful stuff. It'd be like in joke, but it'd be some seriousness to that. It'd be some truth to that stuff. You like, hey. You're going a little bit too far. But he didn't care because he's second in power. Let's go.
Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself. And
Only me.
tomorrow also am I invited by her together
She
with the
invited me to
king.
come back tomorrow too. Let's go.
Yet all this availeth me nothing.
This availeth me
so
nothing.
long as I see Mordecai the Hebrew sitting in the king's gate. Then said Zedesh his wife and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high in the morning. Speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon.
Oh man, so now you want to hang Mordecai. It's not only enough that you want to kill the people, now you want to hang the man. Let's go.
Then go thou and merrily with the king unto the banquet, and the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
He caused the gallows to be made right away. It's happening in the span of a cup of daytime, nighttime. All this is happening into the next day, the next morning. Let's go.
Chapter 6.
Chapter 6.
On that night, could not the king sleep?
King couldn't sleep that night. Something came on his spirit. Remember, God is working in all this. King can't sleep. We had sleepless nights before, right? Twisting, turning, you get up. Next thing you know, it's 4 in the morning, time to get up to go to work. You ain't sleep a lick. Let's go.
And he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles.
Remember that book earlier that I told you about, to keep a mind of it? He said, yo, bring me that book of records so I could hear some stories and what's been going on. Let's go.
And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigdana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains of those that kept the door, who had sought to lay hands on the king of Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing.
Nothing. Dougie Fresh used to have a song, nothing. Nothing has been done. So now God is moving. Because Mordecai is coming into the picture, into the king's memory. He had forgotten about Mordecai and what he did. But now it's coming right back up. Let's go.
And the king said, who is in the court?
Who is in the court? Now remember, Haman was just given the advice to build a gallows and to go to the king and to ask the king to hang Mordecai. Let's go. So he's there going to ask the king to hang Mordecai. But let's see what happens.
Now Haman was coming to the outer court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on a gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in.
Let him come in. Let Haman come in. That's my right-hand man. Let him come in. Let's go.
So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman said in his heart, whom would the king delight to honor
You ever see the
besides
cartoon
myself?
where the little bubble comes up, bing, and his mind, who else would he want to honor but me? So he gonna lay it heavy on the king. Listen to what he gonna say should be done to this man that deserved this honor. Let's go.
And Haman said unto the king,
For
the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear.
Royal apparel that the king useth to wear, like he used to put on. That means kingly garment. Let's go.
And the horse that the king rideth upon.
The royal steed that the king rides upon. Persian was also known for their horses. They have very fast horses and glamorous horses. Persian horses are some of the best in the world. It said, let him ride on the king's horse. Let's go.
And on whose head a crown of royal is set.
So put one of the king's crowns on his head. Let's go.
And let the apparel and the horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes.
Embarrass one of these guys that work in the court and let him say what?
That they may array the man there with whom the king delighteth to honor, and cause him to ride on horseback through the street of the city and proclaim
through
before
all
him,
the Shushan and proclaim what?
Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor.
He thought that he was going to be that guy. So then what happened?
Make haste.
Make haste. The king said, make haste.
And take the apparel.
Take the apparel.
And the horse.
The horse.
As thou hast said.
As thou hast said.
And do even so to Mordecai the Hebrew.
Do it to Mordecai, your enemy.
That sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
Everything you said, put the crown on his head. And exactly the same words that you said, go through that city and make sure everybody sees. You see, when people try to do evil and they sought to do wickedly against you, what ends up happening? Hasn't it happened to you in your life? Where people at a job, people trying to do certain things. They try to do things behind your back, and the next thing you know is exposed. And next thing you know, what they try to do to you happens to them. They try to get you fired, they get fired. God is good. You reap what you sow. God is good all the time. Let's go.
Then took Haman the apparel and the horse and arrayed Mordecai.
He was a good servant because he had to dress him too. When it said array him, he had to put all that stuff on him. Put the crown on his head and all that. Let's go.
And caused him to ride through the street of the city and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor.
Delighteth to honor. Thus shall it, and those gas masters at the beginning that went back and was carrying message said, what's going on out here? Something wrong going on out here. What happened? Because they don't know what the king said. All the people at the beginning that was coming back and forth bringing messages, they're like, something don't look right here. This is like in reverse or something, but something is happening here. But this is the Most High God in the plan all the times. Let's go.
And Mordecai returned to the king's gate. But Haman hastened to his house mourning and having his head covered. And Haman recounted unto Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai before whom thou hast begun to fall be of the seed of the Hebrews, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him.
They even know that the power of the Creator. His friends and his family know the power of the Creator. They said, you're not going to prevail against them. We've seen this through history. That whenever you rise up against those people, God come and saves them. Said his own wife told him that. Let's go.
While they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains and hastened to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
He don't have time to breathe.
Right.
He's going from one thing to the other to the other. It's happening too fast. He don't have time to relax and say, to gather in, because now it's happening. When you build those gallows and then you wanted to hang this man Mordecai, now the Most High God begins to rush the process. Said, no, I'm going to get you now. God never leaves us hanging.
That's right.
He never leaves us and he never forsakes us. Let us go.
Chapter 7. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther, on the second day of the banquet of wine, whatever thy petition, Queen Esther.
Oh, man, he's so in love with this woman. Let's go.
It shall be granted thee.
Granted
whatever
thee.
thy request, even to half of the kingdom, it shall be performed. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition.
Let my life be given me at thy petition.
And my people at my request.
And my people at my request. Let's go.
For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed,
we
to
are
be
sold
slain,
to be destroyed,
and to perish.
And to perish.
But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my peace, for the adversary is not worthy that the king be
said, if we was
damaged.
just sold to be bondmen and bondwomen, I wouldn't be crying out to you. So, but we were sold to be massacred, to be exterminated. Let's go.
Then the king, then spoke the king Ahasuerus and said unto Esther the queen, who is he? And where is he?
Where is he?
That does presume in his
Who
heart
told you
to
that?
do
Who
so?
said that they gonna kill you?
And
while I'm king of this empire, who said they gonna put hands on you?
And Esther said, an adversary and an enemy, even this wicked Haman.
Bum, 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 bum. This is the climax of the story now. You ever see in the movie, you get to the climax, and it's like, oh, what's happening? Danger, red light. Every time you see red lights in a movie, that's danger. The danger is here now. Because the king is hot. She's saying all these words, and now she dropped the hammer. This wicked Haman. Let's go.
Then Haman was terrified before the king and the queen.
He was terrified because the Most High God recalled to your face all the evil that you do. Let's go.
And the king arose in his wrath from the banquet of wine and went into the palace garden.
He sobered up. You know, they drinking wine. So they like getting toasty and nice. But he sobered up. He said he walked out into the garden, after drinking the wine. Now, also, Persians were known for their beautiful gardens. They were known, this is a known thing, that they had beautiful gardens of hanging, that they had a lot of roses and lilies, and, they grew nice gardens. Let's go.
But Haman remained to make requests for
In
his
fact,
life.
the word paradise comes from the Persian vocabulary because of the gardens that they built. They were called paradisa or something like that, and that's the word that they use, which means enclosed or walled in. Their gardens were walled in and enclosed. They used to build these walls, and the hangings that used to grow up on the walls of the garden and all this stuff. So this is part of something that you might have not known. Let's go.
But Haman remained to make requests for his life to Esther the queen.
Oh, man, he remained. The king went out. He remained. He's trying to plead for his life now. He didn't give Mordecai a chance to plead for his life, though. Let's go.
For he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the couch whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he even force the queen before me in the house?
Oh, man, the visuals is all wrong. They say he's falling on the couch where she was laying on. So he said he going to force himself on my woman while I'm here? Let's see what happens.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
You shake that, boy. It's done. You done. You'll see the executioner put that. They put the cover on your head. It's a wrap. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Go ahead.
Then said Hardbona, one of the chamberlains that were before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who spoke good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. And the king said, hang him thereon.
Hang him. Hang him. All that right-hand man stuff meant nothing. Hang him.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then the king's wrath was assuaged.
The Most High God appeared. The Most High God showed his might. He showed his favor and who he loved. He loved us.
Amen.
We have to show that we love him. He loved us. No matter what circumstance or what situation, the Most High God always shows us favor. All right, let's see here. You want to jump to chapter... Rip the book. Chapter 9 or chapter 10? You want to go straight to chapter 10? Because we ain't going to get through all these 3 chapters unless you do some miraculous reading.
We could get through.
Go ahead then.
Chapter 8. On the day that the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Hebrews' enemy unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai.
Esther finally told the king what she was. Let's go.
Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman.
So now that shows you that he couldn't tell the difference. Miles, you fix that again? He couldn't tell the difference of what she was in the kingdom. So obviously they had to kind of look alike, right? Now, the immortals, Persian elite warriors, you see, like I told you before, right? And this is not about colorism, but it's because in Western society, they've tried to whitewash everything. So these were Persian elite warriors. Now you see how they obviously had the color white, right? They had the color blue. They had little, even the beige type of color that, you know, these Caucasians kind of look like. Like right here, you know, they even got that color, right? But how did they depict themselves?
Yeah, look at their face and hand.
So I would say that Esther would have looked like that also. I'm just saying, and to my light-skinned people out there, don't take offense to this. I'm tired of people whitewashing history. Start whitewashing history and we wouldn't have to talk about color and how people look. If they've whitewashed history and we have to bring it back to what history and what these people left. They had short curly hair and short curly beards.
Right.
Now you make the assumption and you think and you really think about who really looks like that today. It's not them.
Right.
Let us go. Go back to the Tanakh.
And Esther spoke yet again before the king and fell down at his feet and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite and his device that he had devised against the Hebrews. Then the king held out to Esther the golden scepter. So Esther arose and stood before the king. And she said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Hebrews that are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people, or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen and to Mordecai the Hebrew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Hebrews. Write ye also concerning the Hebrews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man
So
reverse.
all this is basically saying is, listen, what I've already decreed and is put with the king's ring, it cannot be reversed. He said, but the king is telling Esther, I've given you Haman's house. You do with it as you please.
Right.
And now I'm going to give you the seal. I'm going to give Mordecai the seal, and then y'all do with that as y'all please. And now you're going to see where there's going to be a reverse edict. He can't stop what already been put forth previously, but he could tell the people, and we're going to get to it, what to do. Let's go.
Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, which is the month Siwan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded concerning the Hebrews, even to the satraps and the governors and the princes of the provinces, which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Hebrews according to their writing and according to their language. And they wrote in the name of the king Ahasuerus, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, riding on swift steeds that were used in the king's services, bread of the stud, that the king had granted the Hebrews that were in every city, to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy and to slay, and to cause to perish all the forces of the people and province that would assault them, their little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey, upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar.
The new edict is defend yourselves. Defend yourselves. When them people come out and try to attack you, take your band together and make sure that y'all don't die. That's the new edict. You have the right to defend yourself. Let's go.
The copy of the writing to be given out for a decree in every province was to be published unto all the peoples, and that the Hebrews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the posts that rode upon swift steeds that were used in the king's services went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given out in Shushan the castle.
Shushan the castle.
And Mordecai went forth from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with the great crown of gold, and with the robe of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan shouted and was glad. The Hebrews had light and gladness and joy and honor. And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Hebrews had gladness and joy, a feast and a good day. And many from among the peoples of the land became Hebrews, for the fear of the Hebrews was fallen upon them.
This is where you get converts. You get Persian converts at this point. Right? Because it said many joined us and followed after our tradition and our way of life. Right? So now the decree was put out to defend yourselves and to go for what you know. You know what I mean? Defend yourself, defend your babies, defend everyone in your family. Let's go.
Now in the 12th month, which is the month Adar.
Which is the month that we're in right now.
On the 13th day of the same.
On the 13th day of the same will be, today is the 11th day. At sundown will be the 12th day. Sundown on Sunday will be the 13th day. That's the day when it was set for them to attack us. On the 13th day of Adar. Let's go.
When the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put into execution, and the days of the enemies of the Hebrews hoped to have rule over them, whereas it was turned to the contrary, that the Hebrews had rule over them that hated them.
The shift of power, the balance of power has changed from the people now to us. The king has favor for the children of Israel, and this is all because of the hand of the Creator. Let's go.
The Hebrews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them was fallen upon all the peoples. And all the princes of the provinces and the satraps and the governors that did the king's business helped the Hebrews, because the fear of Mordecai was fallen upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went forth throughout all the provinces, for the man Mordecai waxed greater and greater.
Mordecai had a rep now. Everybody knew him. Let's go.
And the Hebrews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword and with slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto them that hated them. And
that's why we not a turn the other cheek people. We defend ourselves. We defend ourselves. That's why that concept of turning the other cheek does not fit us. God never told us that, because no man in their right state of mind gets slapped on one side of his face and he give the other cheek for somebody else to slap him. He go, real man gonna knuckle up and now you're gonna have a fight on your hand. Listen, no one is going for that. It's not human nature. Women, children nothing. You got to teach a child not to hit you back. Because their human nature is to want to hit you back. You have to break that out of them and make them understand that you are their parent and they can't raise up against you. But their human nature, you hit a child, they go, dude. They go right back. Let's go.
And in Shushan, the castle, the Hebrews slew and destroyed 500 men. And Pashandata, and Dalphon, and Aspata, and Porata, and Adalia, and Aridata, and Parmashta, and Arisad, and Aridai, and Vaisata, the 10 sons of Haman, the sons of Hamidata, the Hebrews' enemies slew they, but on the spoil they laid not their hand.
They laid not. It wasn't about spoils, it's about getting the job accomplished. Let's go.
On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan, the castle, was brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Hebrews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the castle. And the 10 sons of Haman, what then have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now, whatever thy petition, it shall be granted. And whatever thy request further, it shall be done. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Hebrews that are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done. And a decree was given out in Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. And the Hebrews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men in Shushan.
So on the 13th day in the 127 provinces, it was on. It was on and popping. Israelites was fighting. They was fighting whoever, because people wanted to collect on that money. 10,000 talents of silver. People wanted, I'm going to collect on that. I don't care what the edict is out, so they can't reverse it. And they got to give me that money. They sharpening up their swords. And people went to collect on it, but the Israelites defended themselves. They defended themselves, and they came out good. So this was in the 127 provinces. That was the actual day. But now the 14th day, which is the following day, now in Shushan, within the same castle itself, now she's asking like, hey, we need to defend ourselves against the people in here. Because some people in here do not like us. Some people were on the side of Haman. So we need to be able to defend ourselves. So can we do this in here also? So on the 14th day, they also had to keep guard over the people within the castle, or Shushan, that city that tried to attack them. Let's go.
And they slew 300 men in Shushan, but on the spoil they laid not their hand.
They laid not their hand.
And the other Hebrews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives and had rest from their enemies and slew of them that hated them 75,000.
75,000.
But on the spoil they laid not their hand.
They laid not their hand.
On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same, they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
Feasting and gladness.
But the Hebrews that were in Shushan assembled themselves together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same, they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore do the Hebrews of the villages that dwell in the unwalled towns make the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting.
And that will be Monday at sundown, the 14th day of Adar. So that's when some congregations celebrated an observance, or they remember that time, and there is different traditions that were set here by our ancestors that some of us follow. Let's go.
And a good day of sending portions one to another.
Sending portions one to another. People send food. People give gifts to each other on this day. But it's a tradition. It's not the Torah. It's not in Leviticus 23. You don't have to do it. Right. But some people choose to do it. And it's okay because it's traditions. It's just like when the children of Israel didn't eat the sinew of the thigh because of what happened to Yaakov. It's not a command that we can't do it, but they did it by tradition.
Right.
It's just like during the season of Hanukkah, the same thing. It's not the command of the Most High God, but they did it by tradition. As long as it's not breaking Torah, it's perfectly okay to keep that tradition because it came from us. Right. It didn't come from the outside world.
Right.
Let's go. And it was for an important reason. Let's go.
And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Hebrews that were in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to enjoin them that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly, the days wherein the Hebrews had rest from their enemies, in the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to gladness, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and gladness and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. And the
Why
Hebrews,
wouldn't you celebrate when the Most High God just gave you such great deliverance?
Right.
Let's go.
and the Hebrews took upon them to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of all the Hebrews, had devised against the Hebrews to destroy them, and had cast Pur, that is the lot, to discomfit them and to destroy them. But when she came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he had devised against the Hebrews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, because of all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and that which had come unto them, the Hebrews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to the writing thereof, and according to the appointed time thereof every year.
Every year, so that's what we try to observe. Let's go.
And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Hebrews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed.
So prior to the pandemic, we would have the kids, the parents will exchange gifts. We would have a party. We would have like French fries and burgers, and the kids. We would just have a party for the kids during that season of. But since the pandemic, we haven't picked it back up. Usually, like Sister Rebecca and a couple of other sisters will get that together, but like since the pandemic, we haven't been doing it for obvious reasons. So maybe sometime we'll pick it back up and do that again. But you know, for those who celebrate it, hey, you know, it's more power to you. It's a great time in history, and we give glory to the Creator for even delivering us.
Amen.
You know, for allowing us to allowing our forefathers to be able to prevail against someone that wanted to destroy them. Let's go.
Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abigail, and Mordecai the Hebrew wrote down all the acts of power to confirm this second letter of Purim. And he sent letters unto all the Hebrews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their appointed times, according as Mordecai the Hebrew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and as they had ordained for themselves and for their seed the matters of the fastings and their cry. And the commandment of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book.
Last chapter is only 3 verses. Let's go.
And the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and of his might, and of the full account of the greatness of Mordecai, how the king advanced him, and are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of the Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Hebrew was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Hebrews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the good of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All glory
Amen.
to the Most High, King of the universe, Jehovah.
Hallelujah.
Thanking the Most High God for allowing me to get through another year of doing. Every year that I do this, I say I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to pass it on to someone else. And then I end up doing it anyway. So thanking the Most High God for this time, and I pray that the Creator of heaven and earth will continue to be with us all. Grant us peace. Grant us remission, even in these the lands of our captivities, as we
Let's get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah.